Plum, Nafisia Collier, Nike Agumake going to meet with the NBA/WNBA. I would love to know if Adam Silver's going to be there. But it's pretty clear, and I've talked about this. I think there's a real split amongst the players as to what it is they should be doing.
So, Caitlin Clark sat down with NBC's Basketball Night in America crew, and within minutes of her segment airing, social media exploded. People who normally don't care about WNBA coverage were suddenly talking about how good she was on camera. Basketball analysts were tweeting about how naturally she handled the conversation. Even casual fans were impressed by how she broke down the league's current situation without sounding like a corporate spokesperson. The timing of her debut is pretty interesting. The WNBA is less than 100 days away from starting the 2026 season, but the league and the Players Association are still negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement. There's no expansion draft yet for Portland and Toronto. Free agency hasn't happened. The draft is scheduled for April 13th, but nothing's set in stone because the CBA isn't done. It's a mess, and NBC puts Caitlin on air right in the middle of this chaos to talk about it. That's either brilliant programming or setting her up to navigate a minefield on her first day. Turns out it was brilliant because she handled it perfectly. In May, you can catch the brightest stars in the game, Caitlin Clark going toe-to-toe with the biggest women's basketball stars on the biggest stage. And guess what, guys? We are less than 100 days away from the start of the 2026 season, but the WNBA and the Players Association are still negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, with the latest meeting actually scheduled for tomorrow. You can take a look at last year's offseason calendar. The league is already behind schedule. No expansion draft yet for the two new franchises in Portland and Toronto. And ahead of last season, the Golden State Valkyries expansion draft. You can see it. It took place in December of 2026, and they're scheduled to tip off May 8th. Caitlin, I'm just curious because you said that this moment right now is one of the biggest moments the WNBA has ever seen. Looking forward into the future, what would you like to see happen as you come to a negotiation? Well, honestly, I don't think it's just a big moment for the WNBA. I think all of women's sports. I think this is one of the biggest moments we've ever had. So, I feel very confident that we're going to get something done. And that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to be able to continue to do that. And I know everybody's working really hard. There's a meeting tomorrow that's super important. And I truly do believe we're going to get something done here in the next couple weeks. But like you said, there's a lot of boxes that we still need to check. We've added 2 new teams. There's going to be more players than ever. And then we have to get into free agency, then have a normal draft as well. So there's a lot of things left to do. But I really do feel confident that both sides are going to reach a deal here soon. When asked about the CBA negotiations, Caitlin didn't give some bland, "I'm sure it'll work out" response. She said this is one of the biggest moments not just for the WNBA, but for all of women's sports. She acknowledged there's a meeting happening that's super important. She expressed confidence that a deal will get done in the next couple weeks. Then she listed all the things that still need to happen. 2 new teams, more players than ever, free agency, the normal draft. That's not reading from talking points. That's someone who actually understands the business side of basketball and can communicate it clearly. Most active players would stumble through that question or defer to the league and union are working hard. Caitlin gave a complete, thoughtful answer that showed she gets the big picture. The sarcastic part of me wants to point out that she's doing this while some WNBA veterans are waving inflatable rats outside league offices. Caitlin's on national television professionally discussing the future of the league, while others are literally protesting with props. The contrast in approach is pretty stark. One builds credibility and expands the audience. The other makes you look unserious. That's cross-promotion that money can't buy. Some people might argue that active players shouldn't be doing broadcasting because it's a conflict of interest or a distraction. Those people are idiots. Caitlin doing this raises her profile, which raises the WNBA's profile, which benefits everyone in the league. The only people who would have a problem with it are the same veterans who resent her success. Anyway, the contrast between Caitlin's approach to growing the game and some veterans' approach is getting more obvious by the day. She's on national TV professionally discussing the league's future and business growth. Others are literally waving inflatable rats and making unrealistic salary demands. One approach builds mainstream credibility. The other makes you look like you're not serious about actual business. What's also interesting is how comfortable Caitlyn looked on camera. Some athletes are stiff and awkward during interviews, clearly uncomfortable with the media spotlight. Caitlyn was relaxed, conversational, and natural. She smiled at the right moments. She made eye contact. She didn't rush through her answers or give one-word responses. This is someone who's done thousands of interviews and learned how to work the media. The comment about enjoying the Knicks game and putting her slippers on was a nice touch, too. It humanized her. She's not just this basketball machine. She's someone who enjoys watching games as a fan. That relatability is part of why she connects with audiences in ways that other players don't. NBC scheduling her return for March 29th in Oklahoma City is smart programming. They're not treating this as a one-time thing. They're building her into the rotation. That suggests they were happy with how this debut went and want more. For Caitlyn, it's more exposure, more practice in front of the camera, and more opportunities to build her broadcasting resume. The timing of all this is perfect, too. The WNBA is in this weird limbo where the season is approaching but nothing's finalized because of CBA negotiations. Having Caitlyn on there to discuss it gives NBC a way to cover WNBA storylines during the NBA season. It keeps the league in the conversation even though games aren't being played yet. Let's address the elephant in the room. Caitlyn is making more money from this NBC deal than she makes from her WNBA salary. Her Fever contract pays her around $76,000 for the season. This broadcasting gig? Probably significantly more than that for way less work. That's not a criticism of Caitlyn. That's an indictment of WNBA's salary structure. The fact that the league's biggest star can make more money talking about basketball on TV than actually playing it professionally is absurd. And it's exactly why the CBA negotiations are so important. Players like Caitlyn are generating massive revenue for the league, but not seeing appropriate compensation. The broadcasting opportunities are great, but they shouldn't be necessary for players to make decent money. Some veterans have been critical of Caitlyn pursuing these outside opportunities, claiming she should focus solely on basketball. But why? If the league isn't paying enough to live on comfortably, why wouldn't players maximize their earning potential through endorsements and media work? Criticizing Caitlyn for being smart about her career is just jealousy disguised as concern. The broadcast debut also proves something important. Caitlyn has star power that transcends basketball. People who don't follow the WNBA closely but watching because she was on. That's the definition of a transcendent athlete. Her presence draws eyeballs regardless of what she's doing, playing basketball, doing analyst work, appearing on podcasts. If Caitlyn's involved, people pay attention. NBC clearly understands this, which is why they're integrating her into their NBA coverage. They're not creating a separate WNBA show that nobody would watch. They're putting her on their main basketball program alongside NBA analysts, treating her like she belongs there, because she does. Her basketball knowledge and ability to communicate it clearly is on par with anyone in the industry. The reaction from other analysts and media personalities has been overwhelmingly positive, too. People who cover basketball for a living are praising how well she handled herself. That's significant because those are the people who would be most critical if she'd struggled. The fact that they're impressed suggests this wasn't just hype. She genuinely delivered quality work. What Caitlyn is doing here is building her brand beyond just being a basketball player. She's positioning herself as a complete media personality, player, analyst, ambassador for the sport. That kind of multifaceted brand is way more valuable long-term than just being known for playing. When her playing career eventually ends, she'll have already established herself in broadcasting. That's smart career planning. The comment about having a long career ahead of her is interesting too. She's planning for longevity, not just in playing, but in her overall basketball career, including media work. That suggests she's thinking about this as a decades-long journey, not just cashing in on current popularity. That kind of long-term thinking is rare for someone her age. Comparing this debut to how other athletes have transitioned into broadcasting, Caitlyn is miles ahead. Most players take years to develop on-camera presence and learn how to give good analysis. She's doing it naturally from day one. That's either incredible natural talent for broadcasting or she's put in serious work preparing for this opportunity. Probably both. The way she discussed the CBA without creating any problems for herself was masterful, too. She acknowledged the challenges, expressed optimism about resolution, and avoided saying anything that could be used against her by either the league or the union. That's political savvy that most active players don't have. She managed to discuss a contentious topic without creating any problems for herself. NBC has to be thrilled with how this went. They took a chance putting an active player on their flagship show to discuss complicated business issues, and she knocked it out of the park. That's the kind of success that leads to more opportunities, bigger roles, and eventually, potentially a full-time broadcasting career after playing. For the WNBA, having Caitlin succeed in this role is huge. It puts their league on NBC's main basketball platform, discussed seriously alongside NBA content. That legitimizes the WNBA in ways that separate coverage never could. When the biggest star in women's basketball is analyzing men's and women's basketball side by side, it sends a message that both leagues deserve equal respect. The fact that she's doing this while the CBA is still being negotiated adds another layer. She's out here promoting the league, discussing its growth, expressing confidence in its future, all while the business side is in chaos. That's being a professional. Less professional would be complaining publicly about the CBA mess or refusing to do media until it's resolved. Caitlin Clark just proved she's not only the best player in women's basketball, but potentially one of the best analysts too. Her broadcast debut was flawless, and NBC is already scheduling her return. If you're excited about Caitlin's broadcasting future or think she's building something special, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop your predictions for her media career in the comments below.